I'm going to have a question on one of the submitted cards now, and this question comes from Tom Hopper of Camden. It is a local issue that may have larger resonance, and we'll start with Joan on this one. What is your position on a major issue for the Maine coast, the proposed mega LP tank in Searsport?
Thank you. I've been watching this, and I really don't yet have a position on it. I wouldn't begin to say that I have studied it enough, even though I've read every email that's come to me. As I understand it, there are several issues. First of all, when it was proposed and they had hearings, both the Army Corps of Engineers, DEP, and also all the town of Searsport, they had a public comment period that is built into the way they have to do that business, but for some reason the citizens didn't know. And by the way, this is a decision that the people of Searsport will be making, and it is under their jurisdiction. But I've talked both with select people from Camden and select people from Rockport to understand what our role is, and I know that we have had letters sent to the Searsport Planning Board, which gives us the opportunity to have standing and to be able to discuss the issue there. I think my concerns are around safety on roads. Certainly there's fire safety issues around the port itself, but that's more contained to Searsport. I've heard from many constituents. There is a legal challenge to the procedure so far that I still don't think has been, I don't think there has been a decision made, at least not one that I've heard. So I wouldn't say that I have a position yet. I'm watching it. It does affect us. We are on the coast. It affects our waterway, I think, wanting to know that that's safe and tankers coming in. On the other hand, if it's natural gas, and we need natural gas in our area, there are some opportunities perhaps there as well. So I think there are issues on both sides.
Ed?
I'm opposed at this particular time to the development of the large super tank in Searsport. I think there's just too many questions left unanswered. And the first one is the safety issue. Is the state prepared to handle a mega disaster that would possibly occur at a huge site like that? Do we have the equipment? Do we have the know-how how to handle it? Are we prepared for it? I would say at this particular time we're not. I believe the fishermen have some very, very strong arguments about the freighters and about the use of the waterways. The interference of our main lobstering industry. It's $1 billion industry. Are we going to put that at risk? Those are questions that we haven't seemed to got any real good answers yet. I believe that overall, until I get more information, some of the safety questions are answered, some of the lobstermen questions are answered, I would say I'm opposed to it.
Chris?
I'm a little bit between the two here in the sense that I honestly don't know the answers to enough questions at this point to have an opinion. I know one thing. I know that jobs in our area are critically important, and I know that growing our economy is critically important. And I think that was partly where the vote that took place in Searsport, the one vote that took place, advancing the project, came from. I also know safety is critical in this region, and we need to be sure that anything we're doing is going to provide us safety. When I look at the Port of Boston and I see liquefied propane and other gas moving about, and I know all the freighter traffic there is, and airplanes overhead, and pleasure boats, and freighters, and ferry boats, it seems to me that if they can effectively move in Boston, they probably can effectively move up the Penobscot Bay. I've chatted with folks from the Coast Guard. They don't seem terribly worried about safety, and they believe they have the skills and tools to deal with that should it come into play. I think the scale of the project is one that we need to answer the question on. I haven't talked to any lobstermen in lower Penobscot Bay that seem particularly concerned about this either at this point. I think there are too many unanswered questions for me to take a position right at this time.
Great. Carol.
Well, they haven't left me much left to talk about, but I'll reiterate so much of what's already been said. There are a lot of unknown answers out there, and it isn't surprising that in these tough economic times, communities are looking at any way to increase revenue, increase jobs. So having said that, I understand where it's coming from. I have confidence in our state fire marshal's office in their ability to make sure something is safe. The way they forced me to design child development services in my building would blow your socks off, and when the alarms go off, it blows the socks off of those poor little children. So I'm confident that they are on it and are fully aware of the safety concerns. But other than that, I don't have enough information, and I wouldn't feel comfortable taking a stand on this position at this time.
Thank you. Now a question from the floor. Do we have a question? Bill.
Bill Peace. I think there are a lot of people in this country, including myself, in the state, in Mid-Coast Maine too, that feel that many politicians today, all their loyalty goes to their party. That the nation, the state, and the local municipality sort of come second. And maybe I have the wrong feel in regard to this, but I honestly feel this, and I know I've talked to a lot of people that feel basically the same way. So with that in mind, I'm asking the following question. Having served in the Senate, having served in the House, how many times have you ever voted against your party? And if you have voted against your party, give us an example or two of that. And if you have never voted against your party, why?
And to reiterate that for the folks at home, the question is, for those of you who have served, and Carol, if you can hypothesize perhaps, how many times have you taken a stance or a vote against a position of your own party? What were they? And if you have not, why do you vote straight party lines? Essentially the question. And we start with Ed.
I really couldn't answer that question by number. I really don't have the number in my mind. What I have done is that when I don't agree with what the party is doing, I let that be known. And if it does come to a vote, I will vote my conscience on it if it's for the people of Maine. To me, that's the most important thing. Parties are very important in Augusta. Without parties, I think we would have very little efficiency. However, I think as most people there, if they feel strongly about a particular issue, they will vote their conscience, and that's what I do. So I can't give you a number, whether it's 1, 5, or 10, but there have been times, I will tell you in the past, that I have voted in opposition to the party, and often they brought me behind the glass to try to urge me to change my vote, and I simply said, no, I'm not going to change my vote. This is what I believe in, and that's the way it was. So,
Chris.
I'll tell you, that's a difference between the two parties. I've never been brought behind the glass and asked to change my vote. I can make up my mind, and I can vote any way I need to, and I'm respected for that by my colleagues. I can give you several examples. I can't count the number of times I've probably voted against my party, or the majority of the folks in my party. But I'll give you some examples that come quickly to mind. Early voter registration that was voted on by the legislature and largely a Republican initiative. I believed we needed to do exactly what we're doing right now, which was send that issue to study. And we've got Justice Atwood, who from the area here, leading a panel looking at voter registration and voter integrity in general to be sure that we address the issue in all manners that we should. I think that's what we should have done in the first place. So I went against my colleagues there. The R&D bond, voted against the governor and my colleagues in the House and some in the Senate. I believe we needed an R&D bond in this bond package that we're sending out to the voters in November. I believe it is the key to innovation and growth in the economy here. And our failure was a disappointment to me, and I think a disappointment to many in the state of Maine. And frankly, the other issue is one that the voters are weighing in on right now, and that's the issue of marriage equality. I voted not with my party in the legislature on that issue by and large. I had a few colleagues. I had one other in the Senate, one other Republican in the Senate, a few in the House, but in general was on the minority in that issue, and yet believe I reflected the wishes of Knox County voters who voted as I did when the referendum was voted on in the past.
Great. Carol.
If you're interested in seeing the voting records of our sitting legislators, you can go to a website and it very clearly shows you what they voted and how they voted on each bill and with their party or against their party. I've done that. I'm not going to list it. I'll let Joan speak for herself on that. As for what I would do, I have no problem voting against my party or with my party. My job is to go to Augusta and accurately represent the folks of Camden and Rockport, and we are a unique group. We are different, perhaps, than the rest of the state, and it's important for me, as your representative, to represent you truly. So I actually asked this question because I've been doing research. In order to take on this job, I really wanted to know what I was getting into. So I asked a young fellow who was a page on the floor of the legislature, and I said, let me ask you this. If I vote against the Republican Party, am I going to be voted off the island? And he said, no. The thing is, it's all about communication. So if they know ahead of time what your position is, and there's plenty of opportunity. Now, they may not be happy about it, but at least they know, and they understand where you're coming from. So to me, that speaks of understanding, collaboration, and cooperating, because that's what we're there for. We're not there to vote party lines. We're there to make the right decisions for the people of Camden and Rockport, and then of the greater state of Maine.
Thank you. I actually, in my 4 years, I've never seen the Democrats taken behind the glass, and that must have been in the John Richardson years, perhaps, or something when you were there. But I have seen the Republicans take their members out and then have them come back and change their vote, and it looked very heavy-handed to me, I will have to say. But I did some research because I had a constituent ask me if she said, I hear you vote straight party line all the time, and I told her, no, I don't. And here are some facts from 2011. There were 505 bills passed without a roll call. That means they went under the hammer. They were probably unanimous from the various committees. So that means I and Ed and, all the Republicans in the House who voted yes on that bill. 170 of those bills were sponsored by a Democrat, 34%. 65% were sponsored by Republicans, and 9 were sponsored by unenrolled members. So, I was surprised when I first went to Augusta how bipartisan it actually really is. 61 bills had a roll call vote. 11 were sponsored by Democrats, and I voted yes on 7 and no on 4. 50 of those were sponsored by Republicans, and I voted yes on 24 and no on 26. So that gives you kind of a picture. It's very mixed, I would say. Where some of the specific bills that this past year I voted against my party, and some of my constituents, I will say, and believe me, there's no right answer to most of the votes we cast. I voted for the study on the East-West Highway. I want to have more information, and I think I'm obligated to look at the whole state. I do think there's some opportunities in northern Maine. I voted for charter schools in a mixed way, but I had several constituents who were asking me to vote for that. I voted for the expansion of the Samoset because I heard from Connie. So constituent things mean a lot to me, and I vote a lot that way.